Welcome to this weekly Being Your Own CEO's Success Circle. It's intended especially for solopreneurs, and this morning we're going to be looking at managing, creating, editing images for our websites. So we'll be right back after this. Well, good morning to everyone on this very stormy day here in Victoria. This is Loelan, your host, and greetings, panel members. I hope it's a fine day in your part of the world. Just to remind everyone, we're going to introduce ourselves to try to sort of keep it pretty short. So that we can get right to our topic. So I'll get started by saying that in my coaching and consulting work, I help solopreneurs who want more from their business. And together we overcome that feeling of overwhelm and procrastination while taking us toward the business mastery plan. So let's see, who shall I pick on this morning? So what if I go the opposite way? Let's go with the last person first. How about you, Alana?
Yep, I'm in the hot seat. Hello, everyone. Alana coming to you from Ireland. It is 5 o'clock, 5:03 in my part of the world. My company is ALB Digital Marketing Solutions. I also do affiliate marketing with my blog, emptynesterblog.com, where I help empty nesters create their own online income. Happy to be here, and I really don't want to talk about the weather. Yikes.
Oh.
I'm always cold, so, it's really no change for me. No matter what time of year it is, I'm always cold, so...
Well, just so you all know that it never snows in Victoria. So it started yesterday. It snowed all day yesterday, all night, and it's still snowing. And so everything has pretty well stopped up. On the radio, it just said, stay home.
I hate to say it, we had that happen to us in March last year, and I loved it. We were like snowbound for 4 days, and I loved it.
Yeah. So, well, there is some joy to that.
Yeah, I actually enjoy it.
So. Yeah. And certainly all the kids that have... today is day 2 of a snow day. So, right on. So welcome here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, Javita.
Hello, Loelan. Namaste, everybody. I'm Shubhangi from India. I'm a yoga teacher and also a Reiki master teacher. And I'm very happy to be here.
Aha, nice to have you here. And I bet it's nice and warm where you are.
Yeah.
Oh, well. And I don't know, India seems to sort of only have, 2 seasons?
No, we have 4 seasons actually.
You do?
Yeah. Yeah, rainy, winter, and summer season.
Rainy, winter, and summer. That's 3.
And when I'm going blank.
I have a feeling though that the seasons there have, I mean, at least this is my experience when I visited there, that the seasons, are not so extreme as ours are.
No, in some parts of India,
Maybe
we
north?
have
Yeah,
mm,
yeah,
yeah, very extreme seasons,
yeah.
extreme cold,
Mm,
extreme
yeah,
heat. They're having extreme seasons. But in Mumbai, it's okay.
yeah, right on.
We
Well,
never have extreme seasons.
yeah. So, well, today is extreme, let me tell you. so, so welcome here. I'm glad you made it.
Thank you,
Um,
Lauren. Thank you.
yeah. Um, Fred.
Good morning. I'm from sunny Langford, but it's also snowed here. When we show some pictures, I'll show some pictures I just took this morning because I'm house sitting for a lady who's in England, and I thought she might want to see how snowbound her vehicle is in the front yard and how much snow's in the backyard. I'll share that with us later. Maybe when we talk about editing photos, I could show you that.
Sure.
But I'm located in Victoria as well, where we've had a lot more snow than normal. It does snow once in a while, but normally for a day and about a quarter inch. It's now over a foot deep, and there's another foot coming tonight, apparently. Uh, and I'm organized a group called Our Future Leaders, where it's a cutting edge online sessions for young people to gain their communication, leadership skills, self-confidence, which helps them in creating, become leaders that our world needs. And I believe every child deserves a wonderful future. And Nancy's just hijacked things because she hasn't muted her phone.
Well, she has now. Yeah.
But we'll show you some pictures later on.
Okay. Right on.
Of the snow, front yard and backyard. So it'll give you an idea what it looks like here.
Cool.
A
Oh,
little bit different than Australia was a few weeks ago.
no kidding. Oh dear. Okay, so let's see. I think David. What about you?
Oh, I'm Dave Flannery with Affordable Websites for Small Businesses and United Country Stock Valley Realty, Team Flannery. I am monitoring the chat, and Vivek has come in, and he says it was 0 degrees centigrade this morning here, and now it seems to be 10 degrees centigrade.
Aha.
So he's giving us his weather report.
10 degrees.
Yep.
Not minus 10.
No,
All
10
right.
degrees.
Oh.
So he's above freezing. He's getting
Yeah.
he's getting
He's rubbing it in.
yeah.
Oh, right on. So, and you've been working on images all morning, you said.
Yes, got a new listing, so I've been working on the images, getting them all ready to upload into our MLS, and so it's a great time to have this topic. I may learn something new.
On the other hand, we all may learn something new from you. I have a feeling.
That might also happen too.
Right on. So, thanks for what you're doing for us here, David.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And Nancy, how are you doing? You are now muted.
Oh, good morning. I'm sorry for interrupting. I've been having some technical difficulties opening Zoom, so I'm on my phone this morning. But
Well,
thank you for having me here, and again, my deepest apologies. And yeah, I'm Nancy Kreitz. I'm a holistic nutritionist, spiritual mentor, and Qigong instructor here in Victoria, BC. Beautiful winter day out there if you've got your sorels and your snowshoes. And I take the confusion out of healing and health, natural health, with Hygge for health, keeping it simple, simple, simple. Just found a really magical formula that keeps people in tip-top shape.
Right
So that's
on.
what I do. And I teach Qigong here in Victoria, and I'm working towards getting some online classes as well.
Right. That will be fun.
Yeah.
So I think I've got everybody. So thank you all for introducing yourselves. And I have to keep clicking back and forth to make sure that I'm, because my film strip doesn't always show me everybody. so this morning's topic is managing, creating, editing images. So, and that came about as a result of last week's topic when we were talking about managing or ensuring that our websites would load quickly, etc., etc. We realized that what the images on our website have a huge impact on the speed at which our websites load. So we decided that perhaps it would be a good idea to discuss images in particular a little bit more than we did last week. So, so there are a few things, and first of all, I mean, I think maybe it might be a good place to begin to kind of talk about David's suggestion that he shared with me on Friday night last week about how he does things in a consistent way and how he records and makes sure that everything is organized. So David, do you want to talk about that a little bit? It might be a good place to begin.
Yeah, I use a process that I've developed myself. There's all sorts of processes and all sorts of ways of doing this. This is just the way I'm comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
You mind if I share my screen?
Oh, please do.
Okay. The first place I'm going to go is to my file system. And let's go here. What I do is similar to what Jay has taught. Is I have a place that I store all my information about my website. So I'm going to go to my air fryer site, and you see I have all sorts of folders here. Mm-hmm. One's for backup, CSS notes, so forth and so on, and I have photos. Then I have the photos broken down into what I'm doing. This is the easiest one to show you. This is all of the reviews I've done. Mm-hmm. So then I have, let's go back, that's an old one. Okay, this one I just finished. I have two more folders. Mm-hmm. One is called compression, one's called raw. I will bring in all of my pictures that I'm going to use on the website into raw. Mm-hmm. And then those are the originals, so that if I change size, I do it on my upper level. These are all the pictures that are ready. I've added my logo to them, as you see, and done different things to them. Then I use a program that's called Camtasia, and this is a program that's on my computer. I use this instead of a plugin. A plugin will do the same thing. The advantage of using this program is that it's on my computer. It's not on my website, so I don't have the weight of the plugin slowing down. Now,
so David, just on that topic, so what you're referring to when you talk about a plugin is that image optimizer that a lot of us have?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
This does the same thing. It's just that and this is a free. I'll put a link in the comments when I'm done here so everybody can download it. It's a free program and it does a very good job. And basically, what I'll do is I'll drag one.
What's it called again? Camtasia.
Let me see if I can get it there.
C-A-E.
It's not zooming in. It's
E
S
I U M.
M.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll drag it into there. I'll change my compression to 40%,
Mm-hmm.
or 40, the quality to 40, and I go to the folder that I want to save it in.
Mm-hmm. Boy, I can see that you're sort of like me. I have stuff, it's so many layers in. When you have a website, or when you've been doing a lot of computing for a lot of years, that's what you
Yeah.
end up having.
Well, I have it in the product that I'm folder, and then I put it in the compression.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So,
And
could we stop there just for a second?
yeah.
So, because that was one of the things that I wanted to talk about in terms of compression, because for those that are unaware, I this is my belief anyway. I could be wrong. So, compression really has to do with the file size. Am I correct?
Yes. It changes the file size. As you see right now, this photo is not very big. It's 116 kilobytes.
Mm-hmm.
And when I get done compressing it, which I'll do right now,
Right.
um,
So how do you know by how much you need to compress it?
I just go, my quality
Mm-hmm.
is 40%, and I find that if I make the quality less, it's going to make the file size lesser.
Okay.
But the quality starts to be affected. The photo doesn't look as nice.
Uh-huh.
Whereas if I'm at 40%, it gives me a good compression ratio. You can see I started out with 116 kilobytes, and I dropped it down to 17 kilobytes.
Wow.
That's 85% compression ratio.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
this
so
is the original photo here. And this is the photo that is compressed.
It looks
And
just as good.
It
Yeah.
looks just as good, and on the website it looks just as good. But when you start going lower, it starts blurring out the logo, and it starts buzzing out things, and so that's as slow as I go. But it does a real good job.
Mm-hmm.
And then I upload that from upload it into my computer. So that's my process, and it works extremely well.
Mm-hmm. So so I know that you create websites for other people. So you create a folder for that website, and then you have several subfolders where you manage and keep the color codes and the pictures that you're using, and as you say, the raw as well as the compressed. So it's really important to
If you go through here, you can see I manually back up my sites from the web. You can see this is 3 months old. These are all the backups I've done.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime I do an update, I back it up. Anytime I'm going to make major changes, I back it up. If I'm adding a page, then I'm not so worried about it. But if I'm going to change the whole look of the site or something like that, then I back it up. And this is real important when you're working with other people's site. You want to make sure that that you have a backup, and Wealthy Affiliates has a backup. That's where I'm hosting, and I feel better when I have done it. You know what I mean? And I'm responsible for it, not someone else, because they don't have the same urgency about it as I do.
Right.
If you know what I mean. They've got thousands of backups that are, that they're dealing with, where I'm dealing with my sites, and that's it. So
Well, I was going to mention that because I host my websites with Wealthy Affiliate, and I have used their backup system. I've had occasion to have to use it. So, and it was pretty immediate. However, there were some issues with what got copied. Because what they do is they copy it over into Site Rubix and then back out again, and suddenly a lot of your linkages are all have some problems.
Yeah, and that the way I back it up, I don't have those problems.
Right.
So, because mine goes directly from the site down into my hard drive, which is backed up on the cloud. Then, if I need to bring it back, it goes right back up to the site, and there's no interchanging. It's also a way I use, like if I have a site that I like, I use it as a template. I can put that on and then change all the different stuff that I want to change if I so desire.
So, do you use a plug-in for the backup piece?
Yes, I do.
Aha. Yeah. So that would be one plug-in that you regard as necessary.
Yes.
And of course, if we're talking about, I think we probably mentioned that last week. If we're talking about website speed, the number of plugins that we use is important.
Yeah.
To not be using any more than we need to. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll show you the plugin when I get there. Give me a second.
So you save everything in Word rather than in Google Docs, I guess.
Well, I started this process of all my different stuff that I use for the site, doing it in Word, and so
yeah,
I just carried over with Word.
Yeah,
it works in Google Docs just the same. I just
yeah.
Okay, this is the plugin that I use. It's called All-in-One Migration.
Oh, so you're using that? You're using that for a backup system?
Yeah. I use it as part of my backup
because there is a backup plugin.
Yeah, there's lots of them. I've taken a number of website courses, and I found one on Udemy, and he taught me a lot of different stuff, and he used this plugin to do his backing up, and also for doing his like having a blank site that was basically his template. So he had what he set up is he put in all of his plugins that he wanted, his standard plugins on a site, and he had a home page, had a blog page, and just everything that he needed just as a basic setup. And then he put that down onto his computer, and anytime he started a new site, it would have his theme and all that. He would just bring that up and use it as his standard startup, and then start building from there.
So I see here on you're clicking on export to. So export to file. I had no idea that you could do it that way. Cool. Well, there.
And
right on.
That takes a few minutes.
Yes.
We're kind of getting off topic here a little bit.
Yeah. Well, this is managing. We're into the because that's where I wanted us to go to begin with. I mean, we've got lots of other things to talk about in terms of images, but that's the backup piece is important.
Yeah. Then it just save it, and it just drops right into.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I just take that and then I move that, show in folder. Like I Control X, and then I'll go to the other. And paste that in there.
Right. Okay.
I just made another.
Try again, it says.
Now it's being used by something.
So
Anyway.
So
Oh, it's still downloading. That's why. I can't do it until it's not downloaded.
no.
But that's basically what I'll do is I'll copy
Yeah.
it into that, and then I have a night, anytime I need that backup, I can bring it up, and I keep all of my old backups because it's just on my hard drive, and
Right.
so it's not costing me anything,
Right.
and that works very well.
Right. Okay.
Any questions?
Yeah. So I know that I was going to say that in terms of images, I keep all the images that I use in one images folder. And inside that images folder, I have a different folder for each of my websites. And I also have folders for various places where if I've purchased an image from somewhere, I have a folder that is devoted to that company, so that I'm totally aware of those images that belong to me because I paid for them and where I got them. So that's been my way of managing. So I keep them all in one place. But as time goes on, I'm beginning to realize that, for example, if you've got more than one website, you need to keep track of the color codes that you're using and what pictures you're using in that particular website, etc., etc. So there are different ways that we need to manage. So I was just going to ask, and I think we all maybe have different ways of managing. Fred, I know that you have a website and you use a lot of very very colorful, beautiful pictures on your website. How do you manage to keep track of everything, or do you?
It's relatively simple the way I manage my photos that I use on the website. I just import pictures mainly from Pinterest, where I get them from. And when I've used one on the website, I delete it from one folder, and I have a folder of imported ones and ones, so two folders. And the one that and the ones that I think I will use, and when I use one, I just delete it from the folder that I want to use, so that I don't keep using the same photo.
Right.
After a couple years, I've already used that photo, so I just delete those ones. But I still have the original ones in another folder. It's relatively simplistic on how I manage those photos.
Yeah.
Different photos but that's, the question was about my website, so that's what I do.
Yeah. And you have one website, right?
Yes, at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm working on another one.
It gets a little bit more complicated when you got more than one.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
Right. So
Vivek has a comment he would like to add.
yeah.
He says, I use all-in-one tool that David Flannery showed for my website backup as well.
Oh, right on. Perfect. So I hadn't even thought of use. I knew about that particular plugin, but I hadn't thought of using it in that way. So, ding.
Good morning, Jay.
So, are you there, Jay? Oh, good morning.
Barely. I'm snowed in.
Yes.
And I'm out of beer.
Oh,
All is lost.
it's too early for beer. The sun is not over the Yardarm,
Well,
so never mind.
It's too late for beer, isn't it?
Oh dear.
No.
So we're talking about. We were just talking about, first of all, managing, how we manage our the things for our websites, and in particular our photos. So The next person I was going to ask was Alana, because I know you manage a lot of other people's stuff. So, do you have a specific way that you manage your images?
Well, I do create folders for each person's website. So there's an image folder inside each website folder. So that's part of my managing process. It's not a great system because I get my pictures from a lot of different places. And if I get pictures from clients, that's easy enough to manage. But the pictures I have for my own site are a combination of ones that I've downloaded, ones I've screenshotted, and that sort of thing. And they're not really in any kind of order, unfortunately. But they are in one place that I use them for one particular site. So that's the best I've done so far.
Oh, so the more things we do, the more organized we need to become, don't we?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, Nancy, what about you? Are you you're managing your own website? How do you manage all your pictures and whatnot?
It's a bit of a schmozzle. I have about thousands and thousands just in my photos on my computer, on my iMac, and I just scroll through forever and add them to media, just in add media for my website. So it's very simple. I don't manage. I should have a system. I know that, and I'm always thinking, why don't I have Qigong, Huga for Health, personal? I guess that would be about 2 weeks worth of sitting around and figuring it out. So I'm just old school. Just look. Oh, I like that one. That'll do. And if I do get photos, I go to Unsplash, free photos, and get from there. Yeah. So no, I'm sorry to say I don't really have. I just have the old-fashioned system, but it works. I'll have to say it works.
Well, and I might say, as I mentioned, that I keep all of my images in one place, in one master folder. I have one folder in there that's called freebies. And so if I picked up something from a place like Unsplash or wherever, I always ensure that this image is shareable, and so those I keep in a separate folder so that I know that I'm going to be okay. So
yeah, I just wing it, but it does work. I guess what I did this week that was very helpful is I spent some time on Unsplash and going through all my photos to pull out all the photos that look relevant for the work I'm doing right now, and added them to my media on WordPress, so they're there. So that saves a lot of time.
Yeah,
a lot of time
for sure. Yeah.
But I'll put some time into that when I can take a breath, right?
It's like house cleaning, right? When do we have time to get house cleaning done?
One more thing.
Yeah.
But
There you go.
thank you.
So, Javita, I know you have more than one website. Do you have any specific way of managing? You need to unmute.
Not a specific way. I just keep in different folders, like folder for Pinterest, and one for my niche website, one for affiliate site. So just I keep in different folders. That's it.
Yeah. So you have a folder for each website then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Each website and each social media platform like Facebook and Pinterest.
Oh, well, gee, I hadn't thought of that. Ooh, there's another good idea. Right on. So, Jay, we all sort of know how you, or some of us know how you manage your most of your things, but I think, as I recall, you create a folder for every website in your Google in a Google Doc, don't you? Yeah.
That's correct. I actually while you guys are talking, I just built a little bubble mind map. If you guys want to see
Oh,
it,
go ahead.
as to how I organize my life. Okay. So, can everyone see that? Okay. All right. So, so here's how I organize my project files. So the first folder is the domain name. So that way I can instantly recognize, what project that is, whether it be my own project or a client's project. From there, inside that folder, there are typically 3 additional folders. One called web, one called graphics, and one called communications. So web is for any kind of like additional web files that I would create that WordPress would not. For example, let's say I needed to verify the website through an HTML file for Google Console or Webmaster Tools or something like that. It would pop in there. And then at which point I would use that web folder to upload files to the website through something called FTP. The communications folder is for any PDF or readable or communication-based things that would reside in there. And that's basically for if there's like a contract that I have with a client or an agreement, any kind of reports, like SEO reports or anything like that, abstracts, so information about the client and their project, and anything in that sort of kind of communication realm. And then finally, I have a graphics folder. So the graphics folder is where I store all of my graphics. So editable graphics, raw graphics, and optimized graphics. So I'm going to open this folder. So within the graphics folder, there are 4 additional folders. One's called raw, one's called Photoshop, one's called Illustrator, and then one is called output. Raw is for raw's the potpourri. It's just captures anything that I get from either a client or anything like that. As a stock, if I license a stock photo, I throw it in the raw folder. From there, the Photoshop and the Illustrator folder, those are folders specifically for those software programs. So if I go and start creating something for that client or for myself, and I save it as a Photoshop file, it would then reside in the Photoshop folder. And the same thing with Illustrator. Yeah. So which is Adobe Illustrator. So Photoshop is for like photo editing and graphic editing. Illustrator is for basically design vector-based graphics that have no actual pixels, like no images, right? So graphics, logos, basically.
Yeah.
And then finally, the output is the rendering of any of these 3 folders. So if I'm building a logo in Illustrator and I output it to a PNG, it would go in the output folder. Okay. Same with Photoshop.
So now that this is very similar to how David is doing managing his, and the output I think is sort of like his where he was compressing them. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, so that's where all the web-ready images would reside. At which point I can then upload them through the media folder inside WordPress or however, right? Yeah. So that's how I organize the folders and my images. Now I think I heard you talking about like color codes and stuff. So there's actually another element to that, and that's actually right within Adobe itself. So I'll share that with you. Give me a second here. Here, can everyone see my Photoshop?
Yes.
Screen? Okay. Now you might need to move your film strip of us, because I want you to direct your attention to the right side of this. So on the right side, you see here, you'll see what's called a navigator. So you'll see a little tiny version of this is my canvas here in the middle.
Yeah.
And then I want you to take a look here. I can't zoom in, unfortunately, because it's software. But you see there's a domain name that says affiliateresources.org. Mm-hmm. And then it has 4 additional elements. One says colors, character styles, graphics, and paragraph styles. Wow. So this is related to, and this isn't something that I designed, although I'm glad that Adobe did this, right? So this is how Adobe set this up, because it really does coincide with how that linear output that I do in my folder structure. So colors, so if you're using a specific color in a particular brand or a particular graphic, you have the option to capture the color codes, okay, in Photoshop. So in this particular case, these color codes are just related to the brand itself, to all of my branding with this particular project.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a good, a great way to, a great service that Photoshop provides.
Yeah.
I wonder if anything like that is available in things like Pixlr and some of the other photo editing things.
If not, I would imagine that they would follow soon.
Yeah.
And then character styles is the characters,
your fonts and so forth, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Wow.
So, and then paragraph styles would be like if I had a particular font in a bold or an italic type of font. So it captures the different font styles within your graphic. And then finally, the graphics folder is any kind of image that I would license in Adobe stock. It would reside in this graphics folder. And then also any kind of vector, like Adobe Illustrator file that I would have in Adobe Illustrator would also be in this folder. So that way, if I needed to, so there's my vector graphic right there. So I can easily just drag that over and then, boom. And then there it is. And then I can pop that in there the way that I want. So, and that way I don't have to open up Illustrator and do that kind of stuff. So, so that's how Jay rolls. So Photoshop provides a really neat way to organize and manage those things. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And what they've actually just released is something called View by Group. So I can actually even add an additional level of organization within the graphics folder if I wanted to. So I haven't played with that yet, but I certainly do have plans to do that. Wow. So that's just wonderful. So if we don't belong to a Adobe Photoshop, we need to find a way to manage or to keep track of all of that kind of information in one place, so that we're organized. Yeah. So the way that I see it is you can just add another folder in your graphics folder, and you can say color codes or something like that. Yeah. You know? Or you can create an actual graphic of all the color codes with the names on them, like little swatches, if you will. Yeah.
That's what I do with the thing that I use Word, and then I just put in the color code, and then I highlight it with the color that it is, so I know what color I'm looking at. Where I fall down is that I'm not keeping track of my fonts, and I'm constantly trying to figure out what font I used before. So the next step in my organization is on that Word document is to add the fonts that I use as I start doing it. So that I can, be able to find them.
Shall I share with you how I organize this? I've got a booklet that's got all kinds of stuff, and it needs to be cleaned out and organized in a better way. I do keep track of the color codes and things of that nature, and but you know what? I haven't kept track of fonts that I've used, except that I know that I like Cookie and Lobster. So those are two fonts that I know go with my brand, but the rest of it. So there's some organization this required on my part for sure. So I unless anybody else has any questions about organization, maybe we could move on to there's a few other questions that have arisen for me, and a suggestion that Paul offered in LinkedIn when he saw my note about today's session. So first of all, the question that always arises for me, and I'm sure it must for anybody else who's starting up a new website or working with a new theme or whatever, is how do you determine what the size of the image you should be using? Now, David says he uses the same size image for all his sites that he's doing, or all his posts. And I've been messing around with various types of themes, and they all seem to have a slightly different sometimes you put something in and it's enormous, and then you you use another theme and it's not, and so I'm guessing that the way to determine what the featured image, the size of the featured image, is by researching the particular theme, but I'm not sure. Anybody else have any experience with that?
Well, that's what I do. Is I find the picture size that works on the theme, and then I use that picture for that size for the featured image all the time. And I make my featured images. I actually make them, and then they come out the right size, and then it looks good every single time. The other thing that I do is I try to standardize the sizes. Like on my reviews, I use one size for the main picture, and that's throughout all the reviews. And then the other pictures that go along, I try to maintain the same width. And that works better with mobile, although with the new theme that we're using, when you switch to mobile, it automatically, whatever size the picture is, just puts it on top, where it's on other themes, if it's small enough, it'll put it alongside the wording. Then lots of times you'll have like 4 letters, a column alongside, where you got 4 letters going down alongside
Right.
and that don't work right. So you're always messing around trying to get that picture to be right. So I really like that theme. It made life a lot easier.
Yeah. But by just experimenting and looking to see what looks good, and then recording the size, and then being consistent thereafter is the way you do it.
Correct.
Anybody else have a different way of doing it? Apparently not.
Well, within Illustrator and Adobe, you have the ability to save presets, like sizes, and so and it's kind of similar to Canva, how you can kind of pick a preset, and that's what I do for like my header images on my affiliate resources site. It's a standard size, so whenever I need to excuse me, whenever I need to make a new graphic file for a new blog post, I just open up. I actually created a template, so I just open up that template and then just edit what I need to, and then save it as a new file, a new Photoshop file in my folders, and go from there. It optimizes this, you know, it kind of, I like doing that way because then it keeps me organized and then it keeps me efficient. And I think that's really what it really boils down to is being efficient, you know, looking at, you know, to give you a metaphor, looking at Fred's hat, it says Emergency Management BC. And imagine that company or that organization not being organized when it came down to an emergency. They just, oh, you know, where's this? And then where's the Band-Aids? Where's the Band-Aids? You know, so to efficiently operate a business, you need to be organized, regardless of what business it is, whether it's a physical business or a digital business or an organization such as emergency management, right? So, you know, I try to operate that in terms of running my own business and try to preach that to other people because, you know, there are only 24 hours in the day in this particular universe, unless you get sucked into a vortex and, you know. And, do
you mean a rabbit hole?
Yeah, or figure out the space-time continuum and be able to kind of, you know, figure things out and go talk to Carl Sagan and.
But, so I couldn't agree more about the efficiency. So who was Fred?
That's me. I wanted to show you a couple of photos and how I do something that David did, and it's using paint, and it's just part of Windows, and it doesn't cost me anything, and I think that's worth exploring. So
go ahead.
Because it's very simple and does some of the things that have been shown, but not everything. But it's something I think worth investigating. So let me see if I can share my screen and find a photo that I can share with this. Can you see the snow?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to show you that's the front yard of where I'm staying, and that was this morning. I had to share it with the lady in England to show what her vehicle looks like, and that's my vehicle next to it. Let's see if I can go to, and that is the backyard. You notice the table is about a foot of snow on. That wasn't like that because a few days ago, that's the backyard, and there was a little bit of snow. So and it looks like we're going to get that amount of snow. So I just wanted to show you that. But these photos are much smaller than the original, and I used paint to do that. So let me see if I can find a photo. This is this one is 2 megabytes. This one's 3. This is my daughter. And if I want to open it, what I can do, so that currently is 3.58 megabytes, which is much too big for many files.
So we're still seeing the backyard. Are we supposed to?
Oh, I'm seeing on my screen a picture.
So Fred, you need to press the share button once again and go to the folder or the environment.
Okay. All right, thanks. Well, where's the share button now? Okay.
Should be at the bottom.
Stop share?
Well, you can do that and go back.
Or new share. Okay, new share. Thank you. Come on. Now it's not. Oh, there we are. Let's try this one. Thank you.
Are you using 2 monitors?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
So now you should see, hopefully,
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So there's my daughter, and it's 3.58 megabytes. If I want to open that and change it, I just go to open with. This is all in Windows. And I say open with, and I then choose which one I want to use. And I say paint.
Paint. Okay.
And it downloads that particular one, and then in Paint I can use a let's see if it's coming. Yep, there we are. Can you see that?
No, because you need to change what you're sharing.
Okay. Where's Paint? There's Screen. I think that's it there. Okay. And Share. All right. So now you can see Paint. The photo is very, very large. It's 3.8 gigs. I mean, are you seeing that?
Yeah.
If I want to resize it, there's a lot of colors. There's a lot of, I'm not saying I'm But in Paint, there's a lot of facilities. Like resizing is what I want to do. And I
Right.
can just say resize, and I can then change percentages, which is what David was doing. And this is where I can put the 40% in or 20%, and it'll change it. Or I can say in pixels what I want the size of pixels. So the current is 4,000 and horizontal, and I can change that. So I can choose how many pixels I want, or I can change percentage. Makes life very easy for me. Sometimes I get photographs, or I get something that says, oh, you should have so many pixels horizontal and vertical. I can do that.
Right.
And also percentage. So let's use 40%, the same as what David. That was a 3.8 gigabytes, and I just say okay, and then it shares it. And now it's it was a 4 megabytes. I can save this picture now, and it'll be much smaller. It'll be probably, at a guess, around 800 kilobytes instead of 4 gigabytes. So I can then just click file, and I can say where I want to save it.
Yeah.
And I can choose what I want, and that's how I do it. There's a lot of facilities in Paint, including putting in fonts and so on. So I just say this is the cheap version of Adobe. It certainly doesn't do all those fancy things. But for someone who doesn't want to spend money and still wants to do this,
Right.
Paint offers a lot. Okay, so that's what I just wanted to point out. I mean, there's an enormous amount of facilities in Paint, and it doesn't cost you anything, or it didn't cost me anything. It came with my computer.
And you mentioned Paint last week, and I went in and kind of looked around, but I'm not sure I noticed the percentage piece there.
Yeah, that's in resize.
Yeah.
So when you click,
Yeah.
exactly what David is doing when he was importing. I didn't import Paint. It's part of.
No, it's part of the thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can
So
you,
there's a lot of facilities. So I would encourage you to explore what Paint offers. So I can do it again, and we'll get now the whole picture. I've just made it.
okay, yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Is if you can resize
The resized.
yeah, exactly. So that's good to know.
Yeah.
And this comes with a PC. This Paint.
Yeah, it's part of Windows.
What's Windows?
I don't know. But I look out the window, I see a lot of snow, so I don't know. But I find Paint is very, very powerful, much more powerful than I want. If you, you start going into this, I can save as different modes or so on. So, it really offers a lot of tools without having to spend any money if you have Windows.
Right. So thank you, Fred. That's useful to know. And while we're on that topic of doing it without having to spend a bunch of money, you can do a lot of the same things using Google Slides.
Yeah.
You can, resize and you can change the window size, and you can do a lot of things in there. In terms of some of the things that Jay was showing, changing colors and using fonts and doing creating. I created my own logo. Just using Google Slides, because you can create a slide and then save it as a PNG. And which reminds me, before I forget, Jay, you usually can explain very quickly the difference between a JPEG and a PNG, and I just wanted to make sure everybody understands the difference for that.
Sure. You want me to explain it?
Yeah, would you? You have a nice short way of doing it, so.
Yeah, absolutely. So if everyone can just swipe their credit card now. So JPEG and PNG. So JPEG is for anything that has actual photos in it. So if you have a graphic that has like an actual photo of a person or whatever that's been taken from a camera, that's saved as a JPEG. If your graphic does not have any actual photograph in it, and it's all just graphics that have been developed or built on a computer, that's when you save it as a PNG. If it has a both, If it has both, then as long as the photograph is small, it can be saved as a PNG. Okay, PNG is a little bit better because the quality is better. PNG is based on vector mathematics versus JPEGs is based on pixels, like little dots, like dot matrix, right? Like newsprint.
And so the other thing that we need to remind people that it's PNG that allows you to have a transparency, not JPEG. Yeah.
That was the question I was going to ask. If you're going to run a picture with a transparent background, you'd still want to save it as a PNG, correct?
Yes. So just the caveat to that is if it has a photo, then it's going to be substantially larger.
Okay.
The file size. So there's an easy workaround for that is to create a background that's the same color that you're planning to put that in, and then save it as a JPEG. That way you save the file size.
So
Alana had a question as well.
Yeah, but
actually, I know we're out of time here, but real quickly, what I had done while we were talking about colors and whatnot is I opened up a Google Doc and I created a very small table, and I was able to put color into a box with the color code on there. So that's another way that you can keep track of your colors. So I can share that real quick if you want to have
sure.
a quick look. It's pretty simple. Let me just share that real quick. Where is it? Here it is. So can you see this here?
It's coming. There we go.
Okay, so I had to do a color today, so this is why it was so fresh for me. But all I did here was it's a untitled Google Doc, and I made a table. And then up here, I just did a custom color.
Yeah.
And I put in I can do a different color, but I'll just go in here. You can put in a custom color.
Yeah.
And that's the code there. And I said okay to that. And then I typed in the number, and then the background is the color.
Oh,
so,
there's...
I mean, I suppose I can, if I had time, I could monkey around with it and make the whole box the same color. But just for demonstration, I wanted to show you that that's another way you can go if you're trying to save your colors.
Perfect. That's something that I didn't know. I knew I could create custom colors, but I didn't know if you put that into a box, it would show both the text and the color. So that's perfect. So
well, it's great because you get the code as well. So
absolutely.
You have the code number as well, so then you don't have to figure that out with instant eyedropper.
Yeah, perfect. So. And the other thing that, and we are running short of time here, but I wanted to share something that Paul shared with me on LinkedIn for removing images, background. It's called remove.bg. And while we were sitting in here in the green room playing earlier, David did go in and was able to remove the background from a picture that he had. It's very simple, and once you've removed the background, you don't have to outline it. You don't have to do any of those things. You just remove the background, and then download the image. So I'll be putting that in the comments later, so people can find it and remember about it. So, and the one last thing that I wanted to that was on my list, and that was about file compression. And David talked about the one that he uses, and there is a plugin that's called Image Optimizer, but for me, I have no idea how to use that. What do I need to do with it? You've got it there. Then what does it optimize all the images automatically, or do you have to do it one by one by one? I have no idea. Anybody use that plugin? No? So I guess I'm going to have to go and look for somebody who's done a video to show me how to use it.
There's I think when you have a website with WA, it automatically gives you that EWWW.
It does. It does.
Yeah, and
That,
I thought that it automatically configured the pictures for you, but I've never worked with it. I kind of presumed that it did the work for me. I didn't think I needed to do anything. So I
well,
can't
that's kind of what I was assuming.
Yeah.
But then when I saw what David was doing with this Casium compressor, I began to wonder maybe there's something a person needs to do. So
I think there is some setup to that, but I'm not sure. Like I
Yeah.
said, I compress them on my computer so that I don't have to mess with it. So I delete that plugin. So
right. So there's a piece for further study for some of us. Yeah. So I think I've covered all the things that I needed to cover this morning. I'm wondering if were there any other questions or comments that anybody wanted to add before we close?
I want to add one comment. I did learn a lot of what I do from Jay, so I'm copycatting. So that he knows. I'm not just some of it's my own, but there's a lot of it I just took from his Friday night classes. So
Yeah.
And you too can learn from Jay for the small price of $49 a
a
month.
Right on. I think almost all, except Fred, I think all of us are members of WA in here today.
It's only a matter of time, Fred.
Yeah, right. All right. So, last chance. If there's anything anybody wants to share, otherwise,
I just want to say, try to organize your files in a linear fashion to optimize your business. To make it run
Yes.
efficiently.
yes, I couldn't agree more. The more efficiency we can have, the better, the happier life is. So, all right. So I just want to close by reminding everyone it's important to do what you love with passion. And we'll see you next week. So, what do I need to do next? I need to do 0. Nope.